Hello everyone and welcome to or welcome back to TheSimplyCa. My name is Alana and on this channel you are going to find both yoga and fitness videos as well as human design lifestyle coaching videos. So today, as part of our human design series, we are going to be finishing up talking about the variables, which are the arrows that are at the top of your chart. There are two arrows on the left side of your chart and two arrows on the right side of your chart. Last video, we talked about the arrows that are on the left side of your chart. So if you haven't taken a look at that video yet, definitely go and check it out. And then today we're going to be talking about the arrows that are on the right side of your chart. Now, as I said in last week's video, the arrows contain a wealth of information, and there is absolutely no way that we would be able to cover it all to the specifics that is required for each individual. That said, what we're doing with these videos, specifically around the arrows, is because there's so much interest in the arrows, I wanted to compile just the high-level overview, because I had a really hard time personally finding some information in it, because a lot of people have stayed away because they are so detailed and specific. What I want to give you through these two videos on the arrows is the information about how you can apply the information contained in the arrows in your life to give yourself permission to live your life the way that works best for you and your energy and your design. And with that said, by focusing on the broad perspective of the arrows and giving yourself permission for getting a little bit more specific in how you work in your life, the deeper elements of the arrows will start to bubble up naturally for you. As you start to live your design more and more and more, all of those intricate pieces are going to start rising up to the surface. And the whole point of starting off with your energy type, your strategy, your authority, your not self theme, the centers that you have defined and undefined, and now the arrows, by gaining the broad level overview of that information, it's going to help you to listen to those inner knowings that you already have but maybe haven't been applying because our society might not be constructed in the way that your energy works. So by listening to all of this information, by starting to implement this information, all of those deeper levels are going to start bubbling up naturally because you're living more in accordance with your design and how your energy interacts with the energy around you. Without further ado, let's get into the right arrows. Now, the arrows are going to be read in a counterclockwise direction. So last time we talked about the top left arrow followed by the bottom left arrow. Now we're going to talk about the bottom right arrow followed by the top right arrow. And the reason for that is that each arrow builds on each other, just like starting off with energy type, building in strategy and authority, building in your centers, building in all those pieces. As you build on this system, it releases the next level for you to be able to focus on. So that's what we're going to go with. We're going to go to the bottom right arrow. So the bottom right arrow is about your perspective, and it's about how you apply strategy to create the world around you. Now, as I said in the previous video on variables, when you're more left facing, so when your arrows are pointing more to the left, you're more active and participatory in creating what you're experiencing. Versus when you're more right facing, you have a more receptive experience. It's not so much you going out and having a clear intention and selecting exactly what it is you're looking for. When those arrows are more right facing, you're going to be a little bit more, or the lesson might be to be a little bit less in control and a little bit more receptive to the surprise of what could come to you. How we apply that to the bottom right arrow is if the bottom right arrow is pointing to the left. If the bottom right arrow is pointing to the left, you are more strategic and you are more specific about what it is that you are asking for. So this could be the person who is a little bit more meek and has been told that they are picky and might have been conditioned to not ask for what they want, when in reality, the lesson here or the magic here is to be extremely specific on what it is that you're asking for. These people write lists with specific details, and then when that is presented to them, when the environment gives them what it is that they're looking for, they get to then look at that and say, oh, actually, I missed this one key element that I really find important. So let's take it as you are looking for a partner. And in that experience of looking for your partner, you write out a list of height, eye color, hair color, build, type of work that they do, type of personality that they have, very specific details about who they are, how their values relate to your values. And you're very detailed and very specific on that. Now, let's say that you meet somebody and they fit that list to a T, but there's something wrong. There's something off. There's something that you didn't know that you actually really cared about until you met that person and you interacted with them. You're like, oh, that actually was missing from my list. You can say no to that almost perfect match and go back, readjust your list, and then go back out into the world and meet somebody new. For you, it is about being specific and sending back, making that decision, trusting in the universe to send back what is not exactly what you're looking for. You are an active participant in creating what it is that you want in specific detail. So let's talk about the bottom right arrow pointing to the right. Bottom right arrow pointing to the right. These people, their lesson is to release a little bit of control. This is me. To allow yourself to be receptive to what it is that you are asking for, to be surprised by how good it actually gets to be when all the other pieces are in place. So again, this goes back to we're building up to this. So you're really working with your energy. And when you're working with your energy, you get presented with options. And then it's up to you to use your authority to make the decision if those options are correct for you. Now, with that bottom right arrow pointing to the right, this means, let's take that same example, you're looking for your partner. And in that situation, instead of being super minutely detailed, which might be what you're conditioned to do, it might be what you want to do, it might be what you sort of feel you need to do in order to have control over what is going on and in order to feel like what you're asking for is actually going to present itself to you. The lesson here is to focus on a little bit more of a broad perspective, to focus on a little bit more broad energetic pull versus specific details. So on that, you can still do a list, but on that list, it might be, this is how I want to feel. This is the experience that I want to have. This is the type of dynamic I want to have with this person. Here's how I want to feel in this situation with my partner. And then as you're going out and you're meeting people and you're experiencing your life, you'll start to notice how your energy interacts with the people around you. And you might have a very clear filter in your mind that's, well, I need this person to have never been married before. And then you meet somebody, and that person that you meet, they actually have a past history with having been married, or maybe even have a child, or whatever that is. And the way that your energy relates and interacts with that person is actually exactly what you've been looking for. And you might end up in a situation where this person has more experience and more knowledge and really knows what they're looking for and has had that commitment in the past and knows what that means. So it's a release of control of the specifics. And trust me, I know I am experiencing this right now, just how challenging it is to trust in the abundance and in the beauty and in the grace and the surprise and the magic of the universe presenting a bigger image than what you have in mind. Really quickly, to wrap up that bottom right arrow, this is the specific or non-specific manifestor arrow. So if you have been following human design for a little bit, this arrow is the one that when people are referring to specific or non-specific when it comes to manifestation, not manifestor the energy type, but when it comes to manifestation, calling in your environment, bringing the universe and what you're looking for to you, this is the arrow that people are talking about. So when it points to the left, that's specific. When it points to the right, that's non-specific. To wrap up the arrows, we're going to go to that final top right arrow. And that top right arrow does build from the rest of the three arrows. So there's a little bit of add on, but it does have a lot of pieces that we've already talked about. Now, when that top right arrow points to the left, when the top right arrow points to the left, these people have an ability to be quite focused in on what it is that they're doing. They learn in a very logical, strategic, itemized, sort of like a filing system way. They really like when information is presented logically and factually and in a structured way, and they like to present information in a logical, factual, structured way. So they are able to see patterns that are clear, logical, and are really, I can't come up with another word, structured. So that's the one we're going with. And it's a very nice and clear way for these people to present information. And that's what they enjoy. And that's where their energy works the best. So for people who have a top right arrow that points to the right, top right arrow points to the right, they have a much broader picture. They're not zooming in on the focus. They're taking in a standing back way. So for those who have it pointing to the left, it's correct for them to zoom in on the detail. For those who have this arrow pointing to the right, it's correct for them to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, to stand away from the problem that they're trying to solve or the project that they're getting into the weeds on, go for a walk and kind of take in a bigger lens of it versus continuing to focus in on the detail. So you can see where there is a little bit of a difference on how we each solve a problem. For those with it pointing to the left, it's correct for them to actually look at the problem and get deeper into it so that they can logically piece it together. And for those with the arrow pointing to the right, it's actually correct for them to step back from the problem, look at the broader picture, and then connect different pieces or pull in new pieces that may not have been in the original problem. Now, again, this is not right or wrong. This is not correct or incorrect. There is no one way to do this. This is how it works best for each energy to look at the same thing. And we each bring our different perspective into solving that problem. So for those with the top right arrow pointing to the right, it's correct for you to look at things standing back from them, taking in a bigger perspective, and from that creating image, and from that creating a different and maybe more abstract way of approaching something. Now, one of the differences here between those left-facing and right-facing arrows in general is typically when someone is a little bit more right-facing, pulling out specific facts where exactly something came from is challenging. Versus when somebody is more left-facing, pulling specific facts, oh, I read it in such and such a book, or being able to quote an author or a speaker and know exactly that quote, or remembering the lyrics to a song. When someone is more left-facing, those things come more naturally to them. When someone is more right-facing, it actually works better for them to talk about it. It works better for them to have information presented to them. So, for example, a multiple choice quiz might be a better place for a right-facing person to acknowledge their knowledge or to present their knowledge, because the information is kind of in front of them and they're able to go, oh, I remember, I can pinpoint what that is, versus having to pull facts out of unprompted space. Now again, there isn't a right or a wrong. It's how the world has been created and how we are expected to show up. Now, what's really interesting about human design in this particular moment is that we're going through a shift from more left-facing to more right-facing. And it's not to say that if you are more left-facing, you're out of place. It's not to say that if you're more right-facing, you're out of place. It is important for us to have all of the perspectives. It's important for us to have people who are able to go into the detail. And it's important for us to have people who are able to step back and pull in a new piece of information that wasn't previously there and say, oh, look, this fits neatly into this puzzle, and it then shifts everything from this view to this view. It's all very important for us to have. And that's, again, what I love so much about human design, is we all have a place, we all have a purpose, we all have a reason for being here at this time, with all of our right-facing, with all of our left-facing, with all of our open centers and all of our defined centers, with all of our open gates and channels and all of our defined gates and channels, with all of our different types of strategies, authorities, ways of interacting with the energy and the people around us. It is all so, so, so important. And what we get to do by being here right now, and being who we are right now, we get to show people and we get to lead forwards to this place where we're each recognized for the unique gifts, talents, traits, energy that we bring to a situation. I hope that this information is helping you. I hope this information is giving you permission to be more yourself. This is pretty much the end of the Human Design Basics series. So if you haven't already, go back, watch from the beginning, check out those other videos, because going forward, what we're going to be talking about is how I apply human design, how you can apply human design, how I use human design in coaching my clients. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching or a specific reading for yourself, there is a link down in the description box below that you can book a reading with me, and or you can book ongoing coaching. Which reminds me, go ahead and click that subscribe button, the notification bell. And if you like this information, give it a thumbs up, because it apparently really does help the algorithm and this video to be viewed. That said, if you have people in your life who you think this information would be important to share with, please share this video. As I was saying, going forward, we won't necessarily be talking about the human design basics. So please make sure that you go back, check out those other videos. I'm rambling. We're gonna wrap this. Next up, we're going to start looking at using human design as your own experiment, what that means, how you apply it, how using your energy can really shift how you interact and how things come to you, how you get to move more gracefully downstream with the flow of life. Thank you so much for joining me for these human design videos. Please let me know down in the comments how they're resonating, if you like them, if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.